Yes, guys. So, want to keep this quite relaxed tonight, and I've put quite a bit out recently about motivation, and I've explained the power of pinning motivation on the end product, where you want to get to, the change you want, the goal that you want, rather than pinning motivation on the day. If you pin motivation on the day and you're in a negative state, sometimes that's when you become demotivated, you struggle to take action. And then that can play into your mind, that can limit you from taking action. And that actually starts to build the belief that you aren't going to achieve the goal, which is a big limit for a lot of people. And that's kind of where I wanted to take this video tonight. So I wanted to address two things. The first one is not to put too much pressure on yourself if you don't fully understand or know just yet what you think you want to have this end product motivation for. There's tools and techniques to be able to help you understand that. And the perspective task that I put into this group is such a powerful one to do that. And it's a free task. I've put it into this group for free, and I've put it out there for free just because I know how powerful that is. But I think that I'm going to give a few examples from myself. And the main one is to transition it into a positive. So, for example, it wasn't that I wanted to get away from negative states, mental states. It's that I wanted to become more positive. I wanted to think more positive. I wanted to feel happier. I wanted to feel more content. Now that became more of a passion because I could learn about it. So I could learn how to transition my states. I could learn and understand how the brain and mind worked. I could understand how my physiology can affect how I felt. And all these things are so key because that created motivation to learn. And that built belief in myself that I was going to achieve the goal that I wanted to achieve, which is where this idea of the research board is come from for myself, because I understand that every goal that I've tried to go for and achieve, I've put the work in to understand it. And as a coach back in the day with the fitness industry, if I got a client, I would always advise them to learn, not just to take a program off me or a nutrition plan off me and do exactly what it says and that's it. I want them to question it, not question whether it's going to work, but just understand, right, okay, so why am I eating these foods? Why am I eating these amounts? And I'd explain it to them, but and then say, go and research. And if they came back to me with a good question, not a question questioning why I'd structured like this, but questioning like certain aspects of it in a positive manner, you could tell they'd researched and grown their knowledge. And that helped me build their belief that you're starting to understand this. My ideology as a coach is never to have someone stay with me. It's to have someone grow enough so that they can stand on their own 2 feet and continue their journey by themselves. That for me was what I want to be as a coach, to help someone gain an understanding, gain results, gain momentum, so that they can then continue this on their own. Because at the end of the day, as I've always said, accountability comes down to yourself. So where I want to touch on with this video is two things. The first one is not to put pressure on yourself. Again, sometimes I appreciate, especially when I put my videos out there, I'm always very wary that they're going to resonate with some people and not going to resonate with others. There's some people who are quite happy in life with the way they've got it. And that's absolutely fine. Again, I come on quite strong just because I'm trying to help change people's lives that probably resonate with my path a little bit more, and not necessarily my path isn't exactly what I've been through, but just the aspects of knowing you're in a place where you want change. And the benefit I've had is I've been in both places where I've wanted change from a negative, and I grabbed on to how can I become positive? How can I become more at peace with myself? How can I kind of love myself and be happy with who I was? I've had that side and I've accomplished that side, and I'm still working and learning on that side. And that's a passion for me. But the second one is I've actually reached out into kind of like goals in sports, goals in body shape and fitness, goals within business, building businesses. So I've had these aspects as well. And then I set myself goals with material things as well that I wanted to gain. I wanted to become financially secure. I wanted to clear myself out of XYZ. I wanted to save this amount. Then at one point in my life, I started looking into stocks and shares. And for 2 years, I was heavily researching about stocks and shares. It became a want and a passion. And then I invested and I've got an amount saved up in that. 10, 20 years ago, man, that wouldn't have been there. And the point of this video is, number one, they were always the end product for me, right? Okay, so this is, I set myself some goals, they became the end product. And the key to this is, where I'm going with it is, you're not always going to be motivated in the day. I'm not always motivated to get up in the morning, especially last night, man. I didn't get to bed 11:30. 11:30 I got to bed last night. Managed to do this new meditation. I wasn't going to let that go, but I knew I needed to get to sleep. Then I realized I was going to be up for 5 o'clock in the morning, and I was going sparring, so I needed to be awake. I needed to be sharp. So the motivation wasn't bang on there at that point, but the bigger picture was where I'm trying to get to with my boxing and with my fitness was. But also in the evening, the stuff that I needed to do, because my day was very busy last night, I had to capitalize in a short space of time on the things that I needed to complete in the evening. The bigger picture was the motivation. The things that I needed to get done last night built towards the bigger picture. So they got done. They got done. This morning, I managed to get up at 5 o'clock, made myself awake, got in there and performed. Didn't want to get up, believe me. I could have done a bit longer in bed, but I got on and got it done. And then after that, I felt good about it. And then I know I'm still moving forward. So 2 points in this video. The first one, okay, is I'm going to give you a tip on this in a minute as well. Don't beat yourself up if right now listening to this, you're still unsure. You think, I don't know exactly what I want for this like bigger motivation goal, this bigger outcome. I don't exactly know how to pin this down. Because I'm going to show you something. The second one is, you're not always going to be motivated in the day. You're going to have days where your states waver, and that's some of the tasks that we've done. Understanding your states, understanding your thought process, how you're feeling. Some days you are going to be stressed, but when you know the bigger picture and you've put an action plan in place and you put your priorities in place and everything solidified as a method, you still get it done. You still action it. And that is where you start to build belief that you're going to achieve your goals. If you continue to take action, even at times where you're in a low state, a negative state, you get through that state feeling positive about yourself, thinking, I'm still doing everything I need to do to achieve what I want to achieve. And that's what stands me so strong in everything that I do. So strong in everything that I do. There's a hell of a lot kind of behind the scenes that I work on, especially for the businesses, for the gym, around the house, for the family, stuff that I've been doing. And it's like, I don't share everything, but I can guarantee everything is put into place and it's actioned. And it builds the belief that I'm going to get it done. And then that continues into other areas. And again, that's another powerful thing of noting and journaling down, instead of just having it in the head, being able to look back. And I messaged this to someone the other week, which was like, make a note of everything you're doing through the day. Just make a note, write it down. Just at the end of the day, or the end of the week, you can look back and think, man, you know what, I'm doing a hell of a lot towards what I want, and give yourself a bit of a pat on the back. But if you look at that list and you haven't done a hell of a lot, two things. Firstly, question, do you truly want what you're trying to get? And sometimes the answer is no. So you need to reassess. Or if you do, man, you've got to start taking action. You've really got to grip it. You've really got to grip that and take action. And that's something that I'm a big believer in as well. You've got to take action, man. You've got to take action. Action builds belief. So guys, last bit in this video is about, if you're struggling to understand the want, the first thing I want you to think about is your thought processes. How are you thinking? A lot of the times, generally, it's not that you don't know exactly what you want to go and get. It's that you don't believe you can go and get it. Is that your mind is already limiting you. Your mind is already stopping you from saying to yourself, I want to go and get that. And it's saying, don't you fucking say that to yourself, because you ain't going to get it. You can never get that. You ain't the person. And it'll break you down, especially if you've been built up with negative thought processes. Especially if you've been built up with negative thought processes for your life. As soon as you start to pick goals, suddenly you have a voice pulling you back. So you've got to break that. So the first way to do it is to understand, is there a voice that's limiting me right now, before I start to think of the bigger picture, the bigger goal, the outcome that I want, that I truly want to go for. So just understand what thoughts are coming into your mind. And then the second one is just to take a week to write stuff down and try stuff. If you think about the amount of things that are out there in the world that you haven't tried, So you don't know whether you like them. You don't know if you've got a passion in them. You might have heard of it, but you've never gone and tried it. And until you try something, you don't know whether you're going to enjoy it. You don't know if you're going to like it. Like there's some like 10 years ago, I would have never thought I'd be into mindset and self-development. I never thought I'd be into meditation. And now that is my passion. That's my life. But it wasn't until I ventured into it and researched it and started to realize, man, I don't just want to learn this. I'm passionate about learning it. I want to pick up that book and read it and sit there. And that becomes my night. I want to sit down and meditate. And that's another thing, like with motivation. I'm not always motivated to meditate. There's sometimes a resistance to sit down and meditate, but I know it's fun. And the crazy thing is, I know every time I sit down and meditate, I'm going to come out feeling better. Every time I sit in my meditation chair, as soon as I sit down, I get that like little smile. It's like, I'm about to meditate. It's an amazing feeling for me. But there's a resistance potentially up to that point, which is why I've set this room out the way I have. And I've got that chair there because generally I'm in my office doing some work, wrapping up probably around this time, a little bit early or a little bit late, depending on the day. And then I've got my chair there. And there's a great book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And he talks about making things obvious. If you're trying to create new habits, make them obvious. If you want to eat more fruit, for example, he says, don't have the fruit in the fridge hidden behind stuff. Have the fruit in a motherfucking bowl right in front of your face as soon as you come down the stairs. If you want to start reading a book, don't have the book hidden away in a drawer in a bookshelf. Put it on the pillow of your bed or put it on the couch and hide the TV controller. Make your habits that you want to have obvious. Make them there. And if they're there and obvious and you're still not doing them, then there's a bigger resistance. There's a bigger reason why you're not doing it. Because then that's what's to look into as well. The resistance factor is such a big thing. And so many people live with a resistance. And again, it goes back to not being brave enough and bold enough to stand up and question the resistance. Like, why is this resistance here? Why am I resisting myself? And sometimes that conversation with yourself, and again, there's something that I'm working with from this new book, and it's something that I've worked before from NLP and from certain other aspects that I've worked with, but it's kind of like having that conversation with yourself. And this is talking about creating a mental coach, which I've worked with before, but you create the mental coach. And this is a big thing with NLP, where you're able to kind of have a coach guide you. It's not there. You're communicating with someone. And from this aspect, I'm creating role models. Like, what would they say to me in this position right now? And this person would say what they would say. So I'm like, yeah, you're right. And the reason he's right is because as a role model, I've picked that person for a reason. I might have a role model in self-development. I might have a role model in behavior. I might have a role model within the fitness game or within mindset. I might have a role model within fatherhood, whatever it may be. And then in that situation, that time where I've got to make a choice and I question it, or I might be making a decision I don't think I'm making the right one, I communicate with a mental coach and they will give you the right answer. You work with them. But what a lot of people are doing, they've got a bad mental coach. They've got a bad counselor. I've talked about this before on Instagram. They've got a bad counselor there. So being able to communicate is a massive thing. But where I wanted to go with this is, if you're in this group, hopefully you come in for something. And again, generally it's going to be down to two things. You want change. You want to change the way your thought processes are, your mindset, the way you look at life, the way you see yourself, the way your thought processes are set up, some of your bad habits that are kind of taking control of your life, elements that are controlling you. Or you might be really trying to push on and achieve a goal. Take yourself to the next level. Take your skills to the next level. Really build on something, an element that you want to really build on and progress on and be the best you can be at that. So in either of those cases, hopefully you've kind of got an answer. So the idea behind this now is to understand like the passion and desire part of it. Like, do you get a deep feeling when you think about it? Like a true deep feeling. And that can be a pain or a pleasure feeling. If it's a pain feeling, that's just as good as a pleasure feeling, because all we're after is an answer. All we're after is an answer to say, this is something that I do want. If it's a pain, it's something that I want to get away from, man. But we've got to transition that into a positive goal, a positive outcome that you want. You're not running away from that pain. You're trying to transfer that into a pleasured state. Like, what's the opposite of that? Like, where are you trying to get to? And if you're after a goal, a specific outcome for a sport, for a hobby, for a business, whatever it may be, a financial goal, a material goal, a peace of mind goal, but in a good way, you might not be navigating states. We just might want to work the mind more, understand the mind more. Any of these, just think about them and assess the feelings. The feelings are coming up again. Like, how are you feeling? What emotions are attached to it? And if you feel passion, and desire for change or for the want of achieving that goal, that's your motivation right there. That is motivation. That is motivation. But then it's how much you are prepared to put in to get there. And that's why I'm trying to reframe motivation for people. Because if you work it on a day-to-day basis, on the days when you are demotivated, you won't take action. A lot of people don't take action when they're demotivated. But when you put the motivation on the end goal, when you wake up demotivated, you remind yourself very quickly, very, very, very quickly, this is where I'm going to get to. Not want to get to, this is where I'm going to get to. And how am I going to get to that? Well, I'm going to take the actions I've set into place. But it's a small step, a small action. And sometimes that's all it takes. If you understand the actions you need to take in a day, sometimes it's just taking a small step in that action, and it creates that much momentum that you continue to move forward. So in the day where you've started demotivated, you actually finish up being so productive just because you took that first step, but you had the method planned out, you had the process, you had the steps, you had the actions planned out. But that's at a late date. So what I want you to think about tonight, guys, is, or over the weekend, like, what's that one? What's that outcome? Like, what are you trying to get? Like, what brings you passion and desire? What's that motivation for the end product, that end goal? And again, if you're listening to my video earlier today on Instagram, I did talk about, like, generally then you find that momentum that you'll always be setting the bar higher. You'll get near that goal and about to achieve it, and then it's on to the next. And it gives you this fire, this spark of wanting more, and then that builds such momentum and such kind of like so much positivity and drive within life. And these goals can be absolutely anything. They can be absolutely anything that resonates with you. You are your own person. And that's why I'm, as a mindset coach, I will always say this, but I'm not here to tell you what to go and achieve. I'm not here to tell you what to go and achieve or how you should be changing. I'm trying to get you to think, how do I want to change? Who do I want to be? Like, who do I want to be? Like, how do I become that person? How do I become the person that's got what I want to have? And those three things there, that little nugget there that I've just said, that will give you your answers. But try and get into a relaxed state when you're doing this. Have a bit of fun with it. Try and chill out. Put some quiet music on. Take distractions away. Stop limiting thoughts popping up, because they will be your biggest resistance. If they do pop up, don't run away from them. Understand what they're saying to you. Understand why they're coming up. Because generally, if it's been programmed from your past, it's always going to keep coming up until you do something about it. And that's back to awareness. And we've done awareness within the group before as well. So guys, over the weekend, really focus in. Again, this group can give you so much momentum in taking action, in achieving what you want to achieve. But to achieve something, you need to know exactly what that is. And sometimes you can feel in a bit of a cloud just because you haven't got the clarity on what that is. But again, my point being, like, go for something. Just try it. If you're a little bit uncertain, brainstorm just areas that you think you've got a passion for, or something that you'd like to try, or something that you'd like to achieve. And just go for it. And there's a saying, like, go for it 3 times. Do it 3 times. Don't just do it once. Do it 3 times. On the 3rd time, make your decision whether it's something that you want or not. So take the time over the weekend. Think about things you've done in the past. Think about maybe where you want to get to. Think about the person you want to be. Any changes that you want. And let that shine a light on what that big motivation is. The motivation ahead of you. The motivation to get to that point. And when you create that, and you can put a flag in it, and you can write the word on it or whatever it is, you can then put a bubble around that. That bubble's motivation. That bubble's motivation is waiting for you to go up to it and pop it. And every single day you move closer to it by taking action, by being the person that's going to achieve that goal. It comes down to identity, which I'll put more videos in around. Be the person who is going to achieve that goal. Do those actions now. Be that person now. All the work I'm doing, mental rehearsals at the minute, mental visualizations of me being at the place that I want to be. This is so powerful, so life transforming. It's untrue, man. It's untrue. But it all comes down to you. So again, this video, very quick, guys. Just wanted to jump on tonight. Very quick. It's 20 minutes. I do apologize. But I just wanted to express it. It can be tough. I appreciate it. And again, there's some people, like I said, there's some people that will listen to my videos and just think like, I don't really, wow, this is pretty strong, man. I'm really happy or with my life right now. And that's absolutely fine. Again, this is more aimed at just those people. They've just got something there that's like, I want something. I fucking want something. I want to fucking change. I want to be different. I want to be better for myself. Or there's a goal that I really want to achieve. I think I can get that. I want that. I want to get to that level. I want to be better than that. I want to beat that level. Like that feeling inside. But you can only feel that feeling. And when that feeling comes up, for whatever aspect it is, that gives you the answer. So do some soul searching this weekend and try and find that. And once you find that, let that be your motivation. Don't rely on a day-to-day motivation. There's no one in the world that has a day-to-day motivation absolutely sky high. And any self-development coach, any spiritual leader will say the exact same. Even the Buddha, they go into meditation to help them center themselves, be humble, be blessed, be grateful. But they do those things for a reason, if that makes sense. Find that motivation. But the motivation is where you're trying to get to. Day to days, you're going to have highs and lows, but we can create a method, a plan to get you to that outcome. And the power of this is, guys, once you've done it once, you understand it so much more that you start to branch out into either other areas of your life. So you start to try and set goals that motivate you in all these areas of your life. So you've got 5 shining lights of motivation you're trying to reach, which is an amazing thing. Believe me, it's an amazing thing to sit there and think, man, I never used to have 1 fucking light of motivation. Now I've got 5 or 6. It's an amazing feeling. Find that by just soul searching. Don't put pressure on yourself. If you get limiting thoughts, again, note them down. Don't run away from them. But really try and find it, guys. It's got to come from you. There's got to come a want from you. Comes from the feeling, not the thought. There'll be a feeling inside that really ignites you, whether it's a turning in the stomach, whether it's a heart beating faster, whether it's a little burn inside that chest, whether it's a negative or positive. You'll know the feeling. You'll know the feeling when you think about it, and it'll either be a need to change, I want to change this, or it'll be, I want to achieve that. And that's your answer. Brainstorm, journal, note down, use your phone, research, try things. Go outside the box. But when you find it, start to move forward, guys, it's going to create a massive shift, a massive momentum in your life. I can guarantee. Have a great weekend. I'll be touching base over the weekend. Liam's got some amazing stuff to drop next week as well. Back in action, ready to rock and roll. Guys, nothing but love. I'll speak to you soon.